Now we will speak about Wanderer. What is Wanderer? When you see encyclopedia or dictionary, you see that these are the nomadic people who are going from one country to another without permanent home. And the romantic image is representative of the loneliness and wandering, searching for the adored country, pays adoré, sensed but never known. In Romantic period, you had in all the arts this image of wandering or wanderer. In 1818, German painter Caspar David Friedrich painted the wanderer above the sea of fog. It's the human being contemplation, meditation about the life path in front of landscape, which evokes the sublime. In literature, you have Goethe's, Wilhelm Meister's Wanderjahre, Wilhelm Meister's wandering years. This title inspired Liszt for his own work, Années de pèlerinage, years of pilgrimage. Where are you not? It's happiness, wrote Liszt to Cosima in 1868. The image of wanderer, of lonely traveler, was very common to Liszt with his itinerary musician profession. Maybe because of that, and not only of that we will see later, he was extremely interested by Schubert's song, Der Wanderer, and as well he was interested by Schubert's Fantasie for piano in C major. Schubert wrote his Lied Wanderer in 1816 and later used the theme of the song of Lieder in his Wanderer Fantasy in 1822. Schubert himself told, "The devil may play it." That's true. Those who played can confirm it. But it was not only the technical, pianistical challenge for the performer. It was just very new, very innovative, structural composition. All the work is based on the same theme, so it's monothematic work, and 4 movements are transiting without interruption, without final cadencia, one to another. It was the work first tried to combine sonata form with a variation form in 4 movements with a fusion from one to other. And it is not astonishing that Liszt was completely fascinated not only by the content of the work, but as well by the new form, new structure. This version of Wanderer Fantasy of Liszt for piano and orchestra, it's very unique démarche. As for Lieder of Schubert, we're speaking about voice and piano score adapted or transformated for piano. This is completely other démarche in opposite side. So you have a written, ready piano score, and you give it with the many possibilities for soloist pianist and all the colors of the orchestra. It's extremely rare and fantastic démarche, and I can say to you it's extremely successful. I am sure that you will have a lot of pleasure to do it with the orchestra. As we told in the beginning, Schubert told, it's only devil who can play it. It means the solo piece of Wanderer. And I can confirm, those who plays the bows, I'm playing the bows. I played first one, Schubert. Now I prefer Liszt, not because I am totally crazy about, but it is true as well. Schubert, as Beethoven, what they were writing, very often they were thinking about orchestra. And particularly in the piece of Wanderer Fantasy, Schubert, it was evident that he was thinking about orchestra. And this orchestra was missing, and poor pianists playing solo teams, then going to this orchestra part and tiring with two hands up and down and without any break during 20 minutes. I cannot say that Liszt makes something more simple, but he opened this work for us in another light, and he gave another life for this piece, and it's absolutely authentic somewhere version of Schubert, because there is no real text changement. There is no difference in the bars. It's the same, absolutely, structure and bars and the themes. He just sometimes giving to orchestra that theme is played in the left hand of pianist, or maybe of the same element given already by Schubert, he's adding some flashes to make the score of orchestra richer. We spoke previously about the leader of Schubert, and we were telling that he was adapting on the piano for piano needs, for concert piece for piano needs. And there, in this case, he was adapting for orchestra with orchestra needs and soloist needs. So I can only congratulate Liszt for this fantastic idea, and just to say that it's very pity that this work is not enough played. It still remains the only Schubert instrumental concerto. I just encourage you to play more this piece. So let's come to the version for piano and orchestra of Fantasie of Wanderer of Schubert, transcribed or adapted for orchestra and piano by Liszt. The beginning. I have there two versions. As well, it would be very interesting to compare. It is not the same démarche like with the songs, where you have the text and you need to do it to understand the text in order to understand what you want to express in your playing. This is not the same démarche. You could play just Schubert Liszt version and that's it. But it's extremely interesting to know, and it's as well useful in another sense, how he split the score, how he continued to take from piano to orchestra and vice versa, how some elements of this music are coming to the flutes of another instrument for the percussions, this rhythm, ta, 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 ta. He uses often percussions, and pianist is playing virtuosic thing, necessary thing for soloist part in the regular, beautiful romantic concerto. So the beginning is like it should be somewhere. The orchestra opens first of all, and then soloist enters. It's interesting to know how he organized orchestra, piano, or interaction in between. So the concerto, or Wanderer Fantasie for piano orchestra, begins by orchestra entrance, which is normally piano entrance in tutti, in forte, and all these first part, first theme is played by orchestra. It's extremely chic. This 16th arpeggio are played by strings, and there I can say you're playing fast. Now the soloist is entering. It's the same dynamic like in the original piece, but all these things are played by lonely pianist in the Schubert version. But now you have the pianist entering. Completely solo, orchestra, pianist. And I can say it's impressive when the pianist is not bumming like a soloist, but just sotto voce. Now together, and it's very joyful. It's very festive. It's very opening. You can imagine that it is going together with orchestra. Tam pam pow wam. Now it's interesting arrangement of Liszt, as Schubert made what was possible to make for two hands. What is doing Liszt? He will not use the same scales, same arpeggios. He will do something more. So he is making in octaves. He is doubling this. But you need to be careful in order to have these line of the thumbs, in order to have a line, Schubertian line. So. And he adds the element from the theme with the percussion. And there is something very beautiful. He adds the flute. Small fantasy on. It's very beautiful. It's much more rich than just. Once more percussion. And one more flute. And then cello is coming with a nice melody. The pianist is making chamber music with the cellist and with the flute. What is beautiful with Liszt, he's always leaving the part of solo for real Schubert. He is not making more chic, more beautiful, more virtuosic. He left a lot of sober themes of Schubert. In this case, only pianists remain. Nothing different from Schubert, just suggestion to play un poco più moderato, which is very nice solo permission from Liszt. Then you have woodwinds. And everything is for the piano, only some introductions, some interventions of woodwinds. And it's obvious in Schubert's score that it should be given to somebody else, this part, next coming episode, for quartet or for orchestra. So not to continue. And the strings are playing this part, so. End of piano, and the strings with very warm sound. And then we come back to the power and to the courage of C major of Wanderer. So. Schubert and in Schubert Liszt. And it gives more and more fire together with orchestra. Pa-pa-pam. Interaction in between two sides. And there, first time, the pianist is playing real dynamic of the thematic material, this double forte, because in the beginning he was playing. Now, finally, he's le roi, the king. Now we come back to the episode where the only devil can play, following Schubert's words. Left hand. And etc., etc. Liszt naturally splits, give the part of thematic material to the orchestra and just double scales to the pianist. You need to be very strict with the vertical with orchestra. Do not rush here. Yeah. Next two bars. Next two bars of Schubert, certainly written in Liszt Transcendental Text. Change. Once more, the strings are working hard, like in the beginning. Da 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 da. Do 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 do. Para 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 para. Para 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 para. Brilliant idea now, instead of piano part, what it was written in Schubert. He gives it to the woodwinds. We can presume that it was written with the imagination of the woodwinds instrument. And this time, piano. And woodwinds. With woodwinds. he is all the time searching for the new ideas. Where is the block of orchestra with the block of piano playing, solo, big solos, and then how to interact. 2 bars with the woodwinds, then 1 bar with piano, and 1 bar with woodwinds in the same theme. So it's extremely innovating and beautiful at the same time. So now we are coming for fantasy of Liszt in his head, because we have a shy cadenza of Schubert. It is what was not his task to make a cadencias. So if we have a cadenza of Schubert, going to the second theme, coming from the same pattern, yes, as the thematic material, main thematic material. In this case, Liszt is free. Is free to do his glance period experience cadencias inspired by the moment, but it's still quite modest, I can say to you, but it's Liszt. So we have come back to Schubert, pure Schubert, just with a wish of dolce con grazia and una corda of Liszt. Pianos will continue, but you have the pizzicatis on the 3rd beat. Believe me, you should be careful, because it's very often not together. We are so well to be alone. Look at the conductor. So everything pure Schubert, just with small pizzicatis, just to remind that you are not alone, that you play with the orchestra. The next episode is beautifulest, as once more Liszt combines the piano with the dialogue with the orchestra, like we saw. We will have Schubert. Obviously, we need the oboe. Ba-da-da. Instead, it will be oboe. And now, with my free hand, because oboe is playing the la-ra-ra, the melody, I can go higher. I can go 1 octave higher. That was done by Liszt. And then together, and then zusammen. So it's magic episodes of dialogue with the orchestra, with the instruments, and it's very exact translation of the timbre imagination, colorful imagination, orchestral imagination in Schubert works by Liszt. Coming back to the last sentence of the first movement, we come back to the tutti theme. Once more. Schubert's devil, uncomfortable, ungrateful arpeggio. In Liszt work took the form like that. So orchestra is playing the brass with tutti, pianist. So all the vertical accords is orchestra playing. In this chic passage are played by pianists. It's much more grateful than you have. So it's super. And then you continue with the same proceed of Liszt to make the line of thumbs. And Liszt is writing strepitoso, really noisy. And it's much more efficient than play the theme in one hand and the 16th in another. These trills are extremely powerful. Certainly, this orchestra is playing the thematic part. What we need. And now we are coming at the point where it's a real impossible to play on piano. It's Schubert. Enough, he puts the right hand on. I can work 2 hours, and I certainly will do better. But still, it's not really possible to do in tempo with the power that Schubert was in this tempo. Not the same power. What is doing Liszt? He is giving all this part of 16 to woodwinds, para-bara-bam, and what is playing piano? Genius, no? So it's a reconciliation of Wanderer fantasy for me with this proposition of unplayable 1, 2, 3, just 4 bars. So we are coming to the very end of fusional first movement, sonatas form movement, where obviously in Schubert's writing we have orchestration. Isn't it? Tutti and then woodwinds, and then one woodwind. What happens with orchestra? It's tutti, woodwinds, and then one moment, piano is entering. You have a brass. Completely loyal text, exact text of Schubert, but orchestrated by Liszt with a brass. And then you have horn. Until the end of this movement is beautiful horn with bassoon later. 2 horns in interaction with the piano. and horn finish, very long note, very lonely, very sad, and very preparing for this lonely searching for pays adoré, country adored, of the main theme of Wanderer song. No changement, the same theme. The same disposition, everything is completely identical. And it's much more impressive with the orchestra in the silence of the big stage and many people on stage. Lonely theme, lower dynamic maybe. The same as in Schubert. He will not add other things. First variation, completely the same. Will happen now. It's miracle of orchestration of Liszt, after this loneliness of the lonely person. In the last bar, the orchestra began to move, to take the instruments. There is, without playing, we feel that something will happen. Here, when it's already extremely well written and very impressive and very deep in Schubert. Extremely moving music. Liszt is making outstanding situation. The work was performed first time in 1851, and his writing to Hans von Bülow shows how he was caring, how he was anxious about this piece, and how he wanted to have opinion of Hans von Bülow, and as well how he wanted to promote and to know if it's work what he was doing. So listen what he was doing in this. Brass are playing. What is playing piano instead? genius evolution of the time of the romantic spirit, and it does not hurt at all the idea of Schubert. I think it's really, it gives the chicken skin. So after this, just 3 bars, no, four bars that you cannot forget with this chasse-neige of Lisztian work. You continue interact with the orchestra, but before I would like to speak for the pianist who will play this. You should be very careful to be in time. You should be very careful to listen what orchestra is doing. It began this very quick, enormous passage, strict in time. You cannot begin it earlier for your comfort. Da, bam, 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 etc. And the last one is longer than previous, so be strictly in time. If not, it is not so beautiful. The harmonies will make not beautiful combinations. Then you have the interaction in this agitato. Pianist is playing, and you have the energetic pizzicatis of strings, of double basses, of cellos, pam, pam. And agitato in the piano part, it is not written in Schubert's score, but Liszt wants that pianist try to escape. A little bit pushing. Pa pa pam, pa pa pam. And then orchestra is playing arco. Back to Schubert, pure. Next variation, 2, Dolce con intimo sentimento. It's advice of Liszt. Once more, una corda, 2 pedals, as well without any changement. And next one as well. Writing ritenuto here. He thinks that we will not understand that is possible. Maybe by another reason, this ritenuto, just to wake up the cellist who will play the melody now, in difference with our Schubert. This will be played by the cellist in the high register, and it's beautiful as duo that you can do. The parts like that you play together with cello. If not, pianist is doing and you need to be a real good chamber player to play together with the soloist of the orchestra. And the last variation before this storm and tempest of the end of this movement is this solo of another instrument, which does not exist in Schubert's score. It just you can deviner in French. You just it's suggestion that it could be line. And this line is playing by horn. It's so lonely, so sad, it's so impressive that you need as well, like with the cellist, to rehearse separately, to feel the breathing of the instrument or bow of the instrument, to do it really perfect, because it's just duo with cello and duo with the horn. And if you can make some flexibility with your soloist, it's really pleasant. You need to really work this separately with the horn, as if he is pushing, you are uncomfortable. If he is slowly, you are as well uncomfortable. You need to deal with him about respiration and about the movement. Just let's go to the last part of the second movement. As well, be careful to keep under control. To keep under control the connection with orchestra. As you have rhythmical figures who are, first of all, in initial rhythm, and then orchestra is doing diminishing rhythm. And in my experience, I had the conductor who did not take care of pattern, and he went immediately to diminishing rhythm. And it was, I was out of everything during one bar, because you have this 64th note. You cannot play quicker, you cannot skip, and you are in the mess of sounds. And if you are pushed with diminishing of rhythm, you are out. So discuss with conductor, ask him first of all to play in the rhythm, and secondly ask him not to push you. Okay, it's like in Schubert, but you have orchestra here, and later Liszt is doing his job of virtuoso. And if here somebody is pushing you, you have no time to play. You are almost out. So if you do not deal with this control and with the conductor, first of all, you will not come together on the vertical percussion. Thankfully, Liszt, he is not asking us to play. He skips the last accord. So the last part, it's as well storm. This is the score that I found it with a big difficulty. So I had already engagement for the concert, and I could not find the score. Once it was sent, the score with a solo Wanderer that I told you before with Osias, then 2 piano version, and I was still asking version with orchestra. And somebody sent me from Budapest, but it was not Budapest edition, it's American edition. I haven't seen another score. Certainly it should exist, but I was in a rush, and I just took what I had. And these are some mistakes. I'm completely sure that these are the mistakes, because what for to make otherwise in the same sentence, which is perfect in Schubert. What I want to say, you have here in the end of what I played now, you have on the harmony of C sharp. In Schubert you have on B sharp. And in 2 situations it should be the same. In Liszt, in this score what I have, there is only second, which is good. So I think in the first you should correct. And not to play and play. Beautiful. And you have this melody, certainly in woodwinds and string. Flute, oboe. Orchestra, woodwinds, and the bass. And one more mistake in this score. It's always the same in this score, and in Schubert is D natural. So I'm deeply convinced that we should play D natural. So after this gorgeous second movement and interaction, chamber interaction with the soloist with the orchestra, let's go to the dancing part, to this scherzo part of Wanderer Fantasy of Schubert, and just see the humor of Liszt, how he is playing in between instruments, personage, and how it works virtuosically in the interaction with the orchestra. So in the original score of Schubert, you have 4 bars of, and then Liszt is doing 4 bars for orchestra with a string, very, very active string, with the woodwinds, and that's it, and piano and orchestra. So just these 8 bars are extremely colorful. Instead of everything in one line, you have 4 bars of orchestra, piano, and orchestra. Playing amusement of the instrumentist, of the fellows playing the game together. It continues of the same interaction, the whole movement, and a lot of innovation in this field. Schubert would do. And then continue. And Liszt will do something much more Lisztian. Chromatic scale. And he will leave all the rest to orchestra. Evident, isn't it? Then once more woodwinds. And in piano, dynamic. And this time piano is playing this section. In first proposition, it was orchestra who's playing this element. So it's constant game in between. Then. In between, and then real Schubert. Just some bars, 8 bars, and then instead of in Schubert, you have orchestra playing this part certainly, and once more Liszt is doing his virtuosic job. So it's extremely joyful to play. It is not difficult technically, but you need to be very attentive because it's changing all the time. Sometimes you reply, sometimes you don't reply, sometimes you play another replica. So be really concentrated. You can play with amusement, but the head should be always on your shoulders. Huh? So then we have in Schubert. It is not extremely difficult, but it's still not very comfortable in the way of all the piece. I'm speaking about Schubert now. Yeah, so Liszt's decision is to give the trombones part. Isn't it? And for piano, it together. Once more trombone. Once more, place for Schubert, real. And now, the same Schubert, but with once more pizzicati, like we saw in the first part, pizzicati of strings. But please ask the conductor not to push you, because you need still play Schubert. So if he is pushing you, you cannot pronounce beautifully and round, dancing pronunciation. So please, détention, please relax the rhythm here. Ask the conductor to relax the rhythm. You will be straight immediately together. Once more, it's much more comfortable and much better written for the pianist by Liszt. This is Schubert writing what you want. He has only 2 hands and Liszt has an orchestra. So, all these things can be played, all this party can be played by the double basses and cello, and pianists can play this part freely in the high register and very visible. Here I would like that you pay attention once more for the mistake of this edition. In Schubert, it should be D natural, and it's real mistake. the proof. This is E natural in the analogical place. Okay, and then you have, as always in Schubert, all these things with trombones in the left hand. Instead of this, pausa. So you can be brilliant pianist without headache of Schubert task. So and so on. You have the same variation, and in other tonality in the same theme in another tonality. And the end. As well, brilliant passage of Liszt. That is now beautiful inspiration of Liszt, because normally it's pianists who playing. Because pianist is playing before the middle section, before the theme of middle section. In orchestration of Liszt, you have horn. Horn. Woodwinds. And with the piano. Solo. Yeah. Beautiful. Liszt is asking us to play in octaves compared to Schubert. Sempre dolce con grazia, he asks us to play. Certainly with some small pits, small variation of appoggiatura. One more example of beautiful interaction in between groups of orchestra and pianists. You have the cellos and double bass on part which is written in Schubert, piano score. And pianist is playing. Beautiful, huh? You have horn. Normally, you come back to the theme in Schubert's score. Liszt give this part to the clarinet and ask the pianist to play the few retours. With the theme. Then with flute, this interaction, beautiful transcription. The last section is extremely virtuosic, that it should be. I would like that you pay attention in the virtuosic entrance in between. And already here, Liszt asked to enter. And it's quite asymmetric. In harmony it's perfect, but it's a little bit tricky for the attention. Be very bright here. So we have two second woodwind, oboe, clarinet, oboe, clarinet, and immediately, tam param, pam param, pam param. You enter all the time on the second beat. Para para pam 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 1 2. Para para pam 1 tim tam param pam param tam pam. And certainly Liszt needs to show his tremendous octaves. And pure Schubert. Then one more place where devil should place. In Schubert playing. Liszt is making much more comfortable. Not finished. You have the whole white orchestra with percussion, with the brass. Ba, 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 ba. And there is, you are completely alone and naked for the quasi-fugue. Absolutely the same, and I can say you need once more to be really concentrated, because suddenly you are alone, and it with quite quasi fugato. It's always the brain work, so you need to be conscient and to control. Then everything is going to the absolutely terrific final. Liszt is using all this possibility of technique. Very beautiful. In the stem, he's using, like in Campanelle, beautiful sentence. Then a little bit of fugue back. And see the suite. So instead of all this, all the time writing, nothing empty, nowhere to breathe in Schubert piece. You have what you have. You have the team in the orchestra. Syncopizing with orchestra. Pa, 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 pa. So it's very nice, very joyful, technically complete, but not completely crazy. So really wonderful festivity in this final. And with the last coda, you have the piano dynamic, like in Schubert. these arpeggios in C major, it's unplayable. Then, and the last one in 3 octaves, so completely unplayable. I don't know if my colleagues agree with me. And in this case, you see Liszt situation. From diminuendo, and I allow for me as well to do from down, and mostly of the conductor were agreed with me, and I allow for me to make Schubert here, just a clin d'œil. He is still here.